We are here again doing a Candid Cap for the first time in a long time. In the past year, Aaron and I became foster parents, and it's something that is typically a very personal and private journey. So we haven't spoken about it, and we really haven't known until recently what we wanted to say and who we wanted to direct a message to in regards to foster parenting. But I feel like we've received a word about this, and so we want to speak directly to people who are followers of Jesus Christ, who have felt a calling on their life to become foster parents. And so that is who we are, and that is what we represent. So this is a message from people who have felt like God put a calling on their life to become foster parents. It's been just in the behind the scenes of our family, nothing that we had pursued directly, and then God brought about an opportunity. So that's who this message is for. If you have felt like maybe that's something that God has a plan for you in, be encouraged. Would you like to share your thoughts on what fostering has been like?
Yeah, so first key, I think, whenever you're going to jump into foster parenting is to kind of submit the fact that you're going to have no more privacy. And by no more privacy, I mean the state is going to be involved pretty deeply into every inch of your being. They're going to want to know about your past relationships, divorces, divorce paperwork. They want to know where every firearm you have is, exactly what it is and where it's located. If you think for a second, that's where it's going to stop. No, they also want to know your finances.
Yes.
Every penny you spend, they want to know what you're spending it on. They want copies of your rental agreements or mortgages. I mean, they're very, very intrusive. I mean, getting a house, there's a lot of paperwork and a lot of stuff that needs to be done. They blow that away. Like, you'll have a first packet, which is pretty intrusive, and then the second packet comes in, and it's the most I've ever had. Even when I joined the military, I do believe I did less paperwork. So some people will say that's great. It's good to know that they're trying to find out as much about you as possible, but I would say 85 to 90% of everything they want to know from you has nothing to do with children or has anything to do with how you will be with children. It just seems superfluous, if that makes sense. That's the first big one, is that just know that you're not going to have privacy anymore, and the government's going to be very intimate with you. And if you're not a big fan of being intimate with the government, join the club. I'm not either.
Yeah. This is definitely something that we feel is submitting. We are submitting to the Lord's will in our life.
To the Lord, not to the government.
Yes, not to the government. We are submitting to the Lord, and we believe that He will protect us as long as we are on this path. And so we've seen Him provide in really incredible ways that are deeply encouraging, in ways that you can only really understand if you have sacrificed and watched the Lord open a path for you that you think, I can't do this of my own strength. It's not possible. We can't. And then continually the steps open in front of you, and you're like, well, I will commit to going on the next step. And then you go to the next step, and then you realize, oh, now the following step is open. And it is confirmation that it is the path that God has had for us. That's how we feel. That's how we interpret it. It's what we believe. And I believe that it would be the same for someone else, that the Lord will show you, when you seek Him, what is His plan for you, and He will be there to provide.
So we feel like we've been called to serve in this way. Yeah. Everyone serves in some way, and ours might be fostering. I say might be, meaning like currently we feel like that's the right path.
Yes, we are currently fostering. We have one child. It's a very private situation. This is the number one challenge that I have had from being the wife and mom in this arrangement, is that you are not to talk about this. You are meant to be.
No details. Like what we're doing right now is fine, but we can't say like who the person is that we're fostering, any information about them. We can't even really ballpark it. So in that regard, we're not allowed to talk about it.
Yeah.
We can't say that we're not foster. We can't say that we're not foster parents or
Well,
whatever.
but in terms of taking on a challenge in your life, it's very difficult to take on a challenge where you are, in effect, really a guardian and a protector of another person. And so the challenges that come along with that other person, you are meant to protect them. So you can't just go out in your common venues of being able to process things that are happening with you, people you would normally share with. You have to find another way of doing that, which I think it's great in terms of building strength with your spouse, but it's also good in terms of developing a dialogue with the Lord.
This will also put stress on your marriage. So not just the fostering, but the process. We are very, very near the last step of a process of getting approved to be an approved home for foster care. And the final step is probably the most intrusive, which is where they come and they do interviews and they write a book about you as a person. As intrusive as I would say that probably is the more appropriate level of care or intrusiveness that the government would take. But this one's like they can interview your children individually. Like when you say individually, you might think, okay, yeah, but with a chaperone or something, right? No, they can take your children, put them in a room with another adult, and then quiz them or grill them on things, and that's upsetting in every way possible. But it is part of this process, and you need to know what you're jumping into. That this is definitely going to take you take some time for you to kind of deal with. If you don't already have children, that's probably best, because you don't have to worry about them or anything like that. But for us, we have 4 children already, so it is a little bit unnerving.
Yeah, that is something that I feel like was an inhibitor for me. We did not actually seek out information on how to become foster parents. We would just say to ourselves and to our family, someday when the kids are older, we'd like to foster. We were approached with a specific scenario and had to make a decision very quickly whether we would open our home to someone we did not know. We knew the person who was explaining the situation to us, and so that was our doorway in. When someone you love comes to you and says, hey, here's a need, then you kind of have to have a discussion of, are we going to try and jump in and help? And we made that decision quickly. And so we were not approved foster parents, but we went through a fairly quick, well, really, no, it took several months. From the day that we said, yes, we will help, it was 3 months.
4 months.
Yeah, it was like 3 or 4 months. Yeah, it was 4 months. It was 4 months. So we had 4 months to kind of prepare / be afraid. Not knowing exactly what was going to happen, but realizing once we said we would like to do this, it wasn't a thing where we could wake up each day and toss a coin. Do we still want to? No, we definitely were slotted for it. And so we've had our foster person here for almost 6 months, and it's definitely gotten a lot easier in terms of our confidence of how to manage. Initially, it was really, really, really scary. But we've come through quite a lot. But I feel like it's, when you're going through something that's very difficult, it's hard to communicate the joy within the pain. It's hard to communicate that, but I feel like it's necessary. And we're right at the end of 2021. We're going into 2022, and I want to speak a message of hope that if you feel called to this, and if you are looking around at your community and you were saying,
there's a need.
Yes, there's such a need.
So that's another thing. The biggest reason why this is important and important for us to do this little Candid cap is there's such a big need for foster parents that it's shocking. There's hundreds of kids in our area alone, and one family to watch them, and you can't. Yeah. So they end up doing weird things with kids, like where they have to put them in hotels, and it's awful how difficult it is for them to deal with all these kids. So we're going to become maybe the second family in the entire area that we live in that deals with foster children. So just consider that too. The need is huge, and I can see why it's so hard. It's because government makes it really hard. They and you think, well, the good news is maybe the people that will do it are the right people, and then that's unfortunately not true. There's a financial incentive to do it, and because there's a financial incentive to do it, you will always find bad people that will do it.
Yes, you think to yourself, you hope to be able to pitch something, right? If you've ever been involved in community service or tackling a social problem that you're passionate about, you want to wrap it in something that's beautiful so other people will want to participate. But when you're experiencing something that is deeply upsetting, it's difficult to tell someone, come along on this journey. It's really painful. And there's a need that is so big that you're just going to show up every day and you're going to feel like you are insufficient, that you can't, you're not even making a dent is how it feels, even though you're carrying the most weight you can. So to explain to someone else, come and link arms with me, it doesn't sound like a good pitch. So the only way you would do this, I think, is if you were called to do this. And so this is meant to be encouragement.
Right.
We have found that through the person that we are fostering, we were sent to training, and the training exposes you to the need. And one of the things that really spoke to us was that if there are not other foster parents in your area, that means that children who are removed from homes in your area are sent out of your area, which is so disruptive to these children. It's not good at all. And so we are going through this process with the intent of being able to take children who are removed from homes in our area so that they can stay in their school systems, and so that reunification is possible. When parents have to travel long distances to do visitation, just to visit their kids, it makes it less likely for good things to come about, because it's the journey, as hard as it is, that kind of, I feel like it directly results in, it directly affects the outcome. And so so there's a huge need.
And if you, for whatever reason, are like, hey, I would like to do this, or I feel like we're called to do this, I can't tell you how to start other than the fact that we started through our local DFACs. In this case, it was a case...
The case manager. We had
case manager. Yeah. So you can call up DFACs and get that kind of information, like, you know, where do I go to become a foster family? And a lot of times they can give you information based on your area, and every area is different. And all the rules are different, but for the most part, that's how I would start if I were you. But don't take it lightly. It's rough. It's rough going through it, and we stuck through it as far as we have based on how we feel that we're called. And I say that knowing that we're not through. I mean, we could still get denied. I don't know how or why or how or how that could ever possibly happen, but you know, it can happen. Like they're very picky, except for apparently, even as picky as they are, they still get abusive foster parents.
It is a scenario where you don't have control, and when you're used to functioning in a system where there are fairly plainly laid out guidelines, and so you can just check off your boxes and feel confident in your place. This is a space where the ground is always moving. We've had 3 caseworkers with just the one placement that we have, and so it feels very chaotic.
Yeah.
And you have to recommit every day to say, I'm going to work with the people who are here, and I'm going to contribute.
And you have to remind them, like, so every new caseworker comes in does not know the kid that you're working with, and all the problems that they have, all the scenarios that they've been through. And then there's so much turnover going on. You just have to understand that you're the only through line. You know, you and their parents are the only through line in their lives.
Yeah.
So you got to do what you got to do to reinform the new caseworker who, in a moment's notice, can replace them.
Well, you know? And you learn to become an advocate with your own children. It feels like there's a greater social structure prepared for you, and so you kind of are following a route with other parents, and it comes more naturally. Even though it feels very difficult to learn how to parent, this is a whole nother lane where there are very few people walking this path, and it's not well marked. And so you have to explain from your very limited knowledge to each person. Every time you're talking with a practitioner, every time you're trying to get a service done, you have to kind of start from scratch and educate people. And the impulse is to say, I don't know what I'm doing. You just want to open with, I don't know. But instead of that, it's very important to just trust the Lord, ask the Lord to give you the guidance, and He will. And the thing is, I feel like when you are raised in the church, it is easy to talk to God about the things that you want, the talents and the gifts that you're asking God to develop in you. But I don't feel like it's as common to go to the Lord and ask Him to prepare a way for you to serve, to ask Him to awaken that inside of you, where you say, Lord, give me the ability to serve in this way. I have never done that before becoming a foster parent, but once we knew of a specific need, I asked the Lord specifically to equip us for this task, this
endeavor.
This endeavor. So if you actually decide, I feel like the Lord's put a calling on my heart, but I'm afraid, I'm not sure I can do it, I don't know what the way is going to be, I would encourage you to seek the Lord. I would encourage you to talk to Him. Pray about it. Just say, Lord, allow me to do this. That's what I say. I say, Lord, allow me to do this. And He does, and He's so faithful. And for anyone who has followed our channel, we did not foster care, we did hospice care for my mother when she became ill. Prior to this. And I feel like if we hadn't done that, we wouldn't be prepared for this.
It is a different world to be in service. But, we're called to be that, right?
Yes.
The least among us is the greatest among us.
Yes.
So to be, to find your favor in God's eyes, He does want us to serve. Yeah. Just to wrap this up, if you guys have any questions and anything specific to your area, we can't really help you, but anything generalized or you want to know how it's been with us, you can message us, and we'll do our very best to get to it when we can. And we just feel like God's called us to do this, and it's rough. It's not easy at all, and the system makes it worse. Like the government is so, they're so bad at making everything more difficult. Tying both of your hands behind your back, both of your legs behind your back, and then asking you if there's any way they can help. And it's like, well, you can stop tying my hands and legs behind my back. It's the first thing, but that's the way they do it. It's the government. Bureaucracy is always going to be terrible at everything. But navigating that is worth it if you're helping the kids, and that's where we're at now. Is our service is currently to serve in this capacity until He tells us otherwise. That's what we're going to do.
The fact that there's a need should be encouraging. If you believe that all people are called to serve, that means you're called to serve somewhere. And so you need to get on the mission of figuring out where are you meant to serve. And when you look around and you realize, wow, there's a gaping hole, and God's called me to this, there should be a level of excitement and let's go. Like, I know God is going to use me. Sorry about that, babe. So be encouraged. And if this is something that you feel called to pursue, we just encourage you to pursue it. You're needed. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.